artists, engage.
Creative process.
Bam, bam, bam.
Music.
We are hosting this conference, bringing together as many practitioners as possible from all over the world who are artists, musicians, also active in a particular form of music education. It's called CMM, it's called creative music making, it's called collaborative creative practice. Let's not lose any time on finding a definition for it. And the most important message is what these artists have to bring. Teaching music by making music. I think that's one of the most essential elements in this practice. And the people that will present here, they facilitate this process in very different ways.
Just like drums on, bam, 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 bam.
So if I say turandot, you say ice.
Fantastic.
For deaf people.
Yes.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on
I don't know what it's that's my answer.
We are looking for the quality of communication.
I never had lyrics which meant this much.
It's like creating your own identity through making music with each other.
This practice is about engaged music making. It's about creating a new aesthetic where the individual has as much of a role as the collective or the group.
Connect with each other, discover, explore, experiment, make something together that's greater than any one of those people could make on their own.
The kind of educational and the artistic and the kind of social and political all being equally as strong and important, even though the vehicle is through making new work together.
There's the kind of bigger ideas behind it, but the kind of stuff that we're doing is music and it's sound.
The sort of main thing that I think I was sort of presenting here was Drumworks, which is quite a big percussion project. It's based in East London. We work with about 400 kids in 6 schools every week.
So Future Band is a project we created about 8 years ago, and it's a performing, composing ensemble for young people from across London.
Ich spiele als Bratschist im Wiener Kammerorchester, bin als Musikschullehrer tätig und im Bereich der Musikvermittlung an der Universität für Musik und Darstellende Kunst Wien.
I am a drummer, an educator, composer and producer. I am currently living in the Netherlands, where I am on the faculty for the NIPE New Audiences and Innovative Practice European Masters Programme.
When you open your eyes, I'd like you to stand in front of each other and look into each other's eyes. What did that represent? What did it make you feel?
In addition to teaching at the Sibelius Academy, I also give my own workshops, and I'm interested in working more with groups and teaching rhythmics, creativity, communication, and world music. And I want to bring those things both to the professionals and to the music teachers that are already in the field and give them some new tools and inspiration.
So I work with under 4-year-olds and I use elements of creative music making, letting them explore instruments freely, letting this young age group already experience how it is to be silent, listen to music, and then react to it by making music again.
As a project manager in Tivoli-Vredenburg, I try to facilitate workshop leaders. So it's a classroom of 40, 50 kids that go in and try to compose a new piece. And on the other end of the spectrum, I work as a workshop leader for Musicians Without Borders in Palestine, Northern Ireland, Tanzania, around the world.
I have many projects with people with dementia. I'm running a project to fund a music school in Guatemala for children. I work in Mexico as a guest teacher in the university, and I have been trying to find new ways of teaching early music and engage people in another kind of performance that is more linked to the society.
I'm a harp player, so I was playing harp in this house band, and we were just asked to give a musical feedback on each presentation. So it was really something new to me, just to transform a speech or words or way of talking or content of the speech into music. It's just part of our work to be open to any kind of situation and to react. Yes, it was a creative process symposium, so we had to be creative as much as possible.
The presentation were mainly about the individuals, explaining about practice, about concrete projects, but we took a step farther in that. We spoke about life, about philosophy. We really went into the essence of this practice.
I think one of the unique things that this age group gets is that they are actually challenged already at this young age in a very musical way. I don't use many props except for musical instruments. So actually I think I'm training their ear and I'm opening their ear.
We try as much as is possible for the project to not be run on this like on a really top-down way. The direction of the project, the music we play, the way we play it is arrived at organically by everyone being on a sort of level pegging in terms of making decisions.
In our own very, very small, very personal, but also political way, addresses how people have conversations together and learn to listen better and learn to share their thoughts.
They have some shared experiences of life and things that they like and don't like, and they bring that to that space. So continuing to be a composer at that moment is about like finding what those things are, and they are often very ethereal, and trying to pull them together to make something that has meaning for everyone.
You'd go to musical resources and musical materials of composition, arranging. What do we need for those? We need melody, we need rhythm, we need harmony, we need texture. So we find creative ways to be able to explore those raw materials that relates to who the people are, where they come from and why we're doing it.
What kind of qualities do you need to engage in this kind of shared leadership?
I try to be as flexible as possible as a workshop leader in Palestine, to bring out my musicianship and my flexibility in order to engage people that are not engaging naturally because of all kinds of problems they have.
And also a certain confidence that whatever issues or confrontations or conflict, which is not necessarily a negative word at all for me, whatever conflict happens, you can find a way to keep people with you, keep the hands tied to a certain respect whilst you're going along this journey together. That push through is also what makes the work so special.
When I saw the project of Music and Dementia, I remember that contact with my grandmother. When we lost that communication, our family started to fade away. Empathy was one of the most important aptitudes of my grandmother, and it has started to impregnate every single aspect of the practice of making music.
If I look at where I live in the world, these are the problems that I see. What can I do about that as an artist? You know, that's the core driver. Is very important for the work, a lot of the work that's been discussed here, to look at that why. Why is it important that this stuff happens? And everyone will have their own view of that.
So it's about group development within a classroom, artistic development within the classroom. In the Musicians Without Borders circumstance, it's about community building between maybe two parts of a community that have been divided by conflict. The goals are totally different. The thing that is similar is that creativity and music builds bridges between people, between the stage and an audience, and between Tivoli-Vredenburg and the city, which then goes on to develop itself as a whole. So that's the result that we're aiming for.
Und zwar war es mir nie genug, einfach nur ein Konzert zu spielen. Eigentlich entstanden schon während des Studiums. Wir hatten mit Freunden zusammen während dem Studium ein Kammerorchester und haben dort immer schon versucht, neue Publikumsschichten zu erreichen. In der Küche, in der WG zusammengesessen und uns Ideen ausgedacht und sie einfach ausprobiert. Und das fand ich letztendlich so bereichernd. Damals war das Thema Musikvermittlung noch gar keins, also wir waren wirklich Pioniere, dass es für mich immer eine größere Bedeutung gewonnen hat.
These kind of creative working methods are an essential part of GLOMAS because the students come from all over the world. And in the heart of the GLOMAS education, there's this transcultural collaboration and creating things with people from really various backgrounds, where it becomes valuable to learn to listen and to learn to work together and contact and communicate with different kinds of people.
I had contact with this old woman that was a nurse in the hospital where we were working. She was working there already for quite a few years. And then she got dementia. And by the time that we made our project, she had already been there as a patient after being a nurse there. We didn't get to her until the 6th session. In that moment, all the tension that she had that was manifested in eye movements or in leg movements transformed, and she began to cry. By the joy of being able to communicate through music. That was a very important moment for all of us, but especially for me, because I understood the power of music.
When it comes to music education, the power is still in those organizations.
You can't do this also just alone. Therefore, you have to be very strategic. There are people out there trying to make things happen who are on your wavelength. I just think you have to spend a hell of a lot of time doing it. Idealism within a classroom, to be blunt, is not going to get you anywhere.
There will be challenges. There are challenges. There's always funding challenges. So we kind of find a way to keep hold of what's really important to us and be really flexible. I think both of those things are important, and I think they're both possible.
Especially in our countries, in the south of Europe, is a change that hasn't arrived yet because it doesn't have the status or the value that has in other countries in the north or center of Europe. And the proof of that is that if you have a look at the conservatories in here in the whole Netherlands, they are full of Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, Greek students. So we really need to bring all this practice into our countries and show people what really music can do to them.
Und jeder Zeitpunkt hat andere Herausforderungen. Aber letztendlich, glaube ich, ist immer das Entscheidende, man bleibt dran. Egal, ob da Hindernisse sind und man brennt man brennt für diese Arbeit und für das, was es bewirken kann. Und dann sind Hindernisse egal.
It's a traditional way of thinking, but now I think it's opening up and more people are getting interested and finding out that you can really work in an academical level, for example, and work with your body and work with all your senses.
I recently met a student who was 15 years old when he was first doing this project. I met him again a couple of months ago when he was 20. It changed his life. It changed his perception of music, maybe his perception of classical music as well, but his perception of his own creativity.
And I think diversity and inclusivity are really at the heart of the project. There's an access agreement, which is about, the thread from your first point of contact through a project like ours and straight into maybe one day coming to a place like the Guildhall.
Really, we are really rich and proud of having this, and lucky to have these periods to really go further. There's something that we have to fight for at one point, and so, revolution.
I think one of the beautiful things in meeting all these people and hearing presentations and having the conversations has been the very genuine way of sharing things, sharing also the problems that you face doing this work, and your vulnerability and your strengths as well.
It was an inspiring experience. In these days, I could think about what I want to keep for my future and my own experience and what not to take.
The thing that I like the most is all the reflection and all the thinking we have done together, because I see this practice as a really necessary evolution of the music making.
I think our generation will be the first who actually can realize which are the real problems and try to fix them.
We are now trying to keep our pulse with this program.
The level of humanity in music totally baffles me. It's amazing.
To see everybody as friends, to see everybody as one people.
For me, really now, what the main purpose is to try and create a new aesthetic and a new music and a new sound. And of course there are no terms that have existed for this new style, so there isn't a genre that exists, and thus it's difficult to maybe explain, but it's tangible. And that for me, I think, is more of the raison d'etre than the moral compass. That's just a beautiful side effect.
It really makes you a better person. It really makes you more aware of the people you have around you and appreciate art in a different way, and really being aware of the impact that a specific piece of art, never mind it's music or it's painting or it's sculpture or it's a film, can have to you, can do to you. Yeah, we need that for a better life, I think.
Artists
engage.
Creative process.
Bam, bam, bam.
Music.